Tonight's state of disaster. Neighborhoods in North Texas completely decimated. Relentless severe storms pounding millions across the country. Drone video showing homes and businesses flattened. Intense hail blasting the region. The powerful twister sending debris sky high. A family and 3 children rescued from rushing floodwaters. Our reporter in the storm zone, the new threat tonight. Also, new images of the suspect accused of attempting to assassinate the president. The selfies and weapons inside his hotel room. What we've just learned about the shots fired at night. Oil reaching a new 4-year high and gas prices soaring 2 months into the war with Iran. Drivers across the country outraged. It comes as President Trump says he won't lift his blockade on Iran's ports as Democrats confront Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth for the first time since the war began. What he revealed about the billions of dollars it's cost so far. London stabbing attack, disturbing video capturing the violent assault on Jewish men. New body cam of police taking down the suspect, why officials are declaring it a terrorist incident. Fiery house explosion, ring camera capturing the blast. What set it off? Royals take the Big Apple, King Charles and Queen Camilla in New York City, and what the Queen told us in our exclusive conversation. And there's good news tonight. Soldiers surprise the emotional moment this little boy found out his dad came back from his deployment just in time for his birthday. Nightly News starts right now.
This is NBC Nightly News with Tom Yamas.
And good evening. We begin tonight at the end of a brutal 24-hour stretch of violent weather across the country, with the epicenter of the damage in the town of Mineral Wells, Texas, devastated by an EF3 tornado. This is what it looks like. People emerging to find just piles and piles of debris. Homes gone, warehouses flattened, someone's roof ending up in the middle of the road. And look at this, a driver caught right in the middle of the twister. Look closely, you see the debris flying everywhere. And this new police body cam video capturing the moment that they had to use a pair of jumper cables to rescue a woman and her 3 children from those floodwaters. NBC's George Solis and his team have made it into Texas, and he starts us off tonight.
In Mineral Wells, Texas, a rain-wrapped tornado sending debris sky high with life-threatening winds up to 145 miles per hour, turning highways dangerous for drivers. The severe storm leveling homes and buildings, flattening this warehouse, injuring 5. This video showing the vast destruction.
Hard at all, like it hit us from the side.
Chris Hester and his girlfriend Rebecca Scott survived the storm inside their home, recording this video of the aftermath.
So we went outside to collect our stuff so it didn't blow away.
They say the tornado ripped their roof off.
We just saw like the walls being torn away piece by piece, and then all of a sudden just a torrential downpour of water just came, and all of a sudden.
Because we should not be alive right now.
The couple alive, but devastated.
That's everything, man.
Oh, tornado right there on the road.
Across the South and Midwest, the past 24 hours alone, seeing more than 200 storm reports.
I'm going to give you some tables and I'm going to wrap around you.
In White Settlement, Texas, authorities say these officers jumped into action to rescue a family stranded in rushing floodwater on Saturday.
In the car!
Across the South, large hail wreaking havoc, punching through this skylight at a Walmart in Missouri.
God was watching over us.
Back in Mineral Wells, Macy Nix is working to help her neighbors find a place to lay their heads tonight.
The focus is on the people that lost everything. It's a miracle with what happened that so many people were able to make it out.
And George Solis joins us tonight from Mineral Wells, Texas. George, just look at that damage everywhere. I know the tornado is gone, but there's still a danger where you are tonight?
Yeah, that's right, Tom, because when you look at the scope of this damage here, look at this home. That is part of the roof inside of this building here. There is so much cleanup, which is why there's still a curfew, and officials are urging people to stay away, but families are still trying to gather as many of their belongings as they can tonight. Tom?
George Solis for us. George, we thank you for that. We're getting our first look tonight at the alleged gunman in that White House Correspondents' Dinner shooting from minutes before the attack inside of his hotel room. The Justice Department releasing new images today, and here's Gabe Gutierrez with them.
Tonight, new images inside the alleged plot to assassinate President Trump. Prosecutors say this is Cole Allen taking a selfie in his Washington Hilton hotel room that he checked into the day before the White House Correspondents' Dinner. The Justice Department highlighting an ammunition bag, a shoulder holster, as well as pliers. Plus, the arsenal he was allegedly carrying, including a 12-gauge pump-action shotgun, a .38 caliber pistol, and 6 knives. But it's these higher-resolution screenshots of surveillance video obtained by the Washington Post that capture the chaos of the breach. You can see when prosecutors say Allen sprinted through a magnetometer with the intent of bursting into the ballroom to kill the president. The images appear to show him holding a shotgun, followed by a Secret Service officer firing at least 4 shots.
The first thing that happened that actually freaked me out a little bit, Will, is that we heard that an agent had been shot. And in the fog of war, I thought, oh, my God, this guy's actually seriously injured or maybe worse. And then we found out later, of course, that he was uninjured or not seriously injured.
3 law enforcement officials familiar with the case tell NBC's Kelly O'Donnell investigators have now determined that Allen did fire his weapon, striking a Secret Service officer, and that it was not friendly fire from another member of law enforcement. Tonight, Allen's public defenders are asking a judge for confidential access to their client in accordance with the 6th Amendment, ahead of a detention hearing tomorrow.
And Gabe joins us live from the White House. Gabe, I know you have more reporting for us tonight. You're learning that this suspect was tracking the president's movements in real time?
Yes, Tom. Prosecutors say just minutes before the attack, Allen used his cell phone to view live media coverage of the president exiting his vehicle to attend the dinner. As for the event itself, a source familiar with the planning tells NBC News the White House Correspondents Association board is having active conversations about rescheduling. Tom.
Gabe Gutierrez, as the rain is coming down hard there at the White House. Gabe, thank you. Now to the war with Iran and President Trump using that U.S. blockade to pressure the Iranian regime to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. All of this as Democrats today grilled Pentagon leaders about the war and its cost. Here's Ryan Nobles.
Tonight, President Trump saying he won't lift his blockade of Iran's ports until Iran signs a nuclear deal, saying the blockade is breaking the Iranian regime.
Now they have to cry uncle. That's all they have to do. Just say, we give up. We give up. But their economy is really in trouble.
A new report showing the U.S. blockade is squeezing Iran, which is losing $250 million a day in oil revenue, with only enough space to store its oil for the next 12 to 22 days. The president rejecting Iran's offer to reopen the Strait of Hormuz if the U.S. ends the blockade and delays talks over Iran's nuclear program.
They've come a long way. The question is whether or not they're going to go far enough. So at this moment, there will never be a deal unless they agree that there will be no nuclear weapons.
All of it as Pentagon leaders, including Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, were grilled by Democrats over the war.
The president has got himself and America stuck in the quagmire of another war in the Middle East. He's desperately trying to extricate himself from his own mistakes.
It undermines the mission. Your hatred for President Trump blinds you to the truth of the success of this mission and the historic stakes that the president is addressing.
And for the first time, the Pentagon putting a price tag on the war to this point, $25 billion, but still unable to forecast how much more money or time it will take to bring the war to an end.
And President Trump said he had a phone call today with Russian President Vladimir Putin where he suggested a ceasefire with Ukraine, something Putin said he'd consider. Tom?
Ryan Nobles on Capitol Hill for us. Ryan, thank you. Now to a terrorist attack in London, a suspect arrested after a stabbing rampage on 2 Jewish men. New video shows the dramatic moment officers took that suspect down. Here's Danielle Hamamdjian and a warning, some of these videos are disturbing.
This is the terrifying moment officers armed only with tasers came face to face with a man on a ramp. Stabbing 2 Jewish men, one in his 70s, the other in his 30s, in a suburb of northwest London, home to a large community of Jewish Brits. The suspect refusing to drop his weapon. Police releasing blurred body camera footage showing officers tasing him and pinning him to the ground before finally arresting him. Minutes earlier, CCTV shows the exact moment the suspect lunged towards one of his victims, appearing to stab him.
This has now formally been declared a terrorist incident.
Police say the 45-year-old suspect is a British national born in Somalia and has a history of serious violence and mental health issues.
it is worrying to walk on the streets, not knowing what's going to happen next.
In this same neighborhood last month, 4 Jewish volunteer ambulances were set on fire in the middle of the night. Police now investigating whether today's stabbings are linked to previous attacks on other Jewish sites in London. On the streets here, there is fear, but also anger.
The root cause is anti-Semitism, and that needs to be unacceptable in this country. Anti-Semitism equates issues in Israel with Jews everywhere in the world, and as a result, we are subject and we are the recipients of this anger and oppression and abuse.
The suspect is now in custody, held on suspicion of attempted murder, and tonight authorities say those victims remain in hospital. Tom.
Danielle, we thank you. Now back here at home to that major Supreme Court ruling involving the Voting Rights Act that could have a significant impact on the midterm elections and beyond. Kelly O'Donnell joins us now, and Kelly, Republicans are calling this a huge win for the GOP.
That's right, Tom. The White House and Republicans see it as a major victory where state legislatures under GOP control could change maps to favor Republicans in coming elections. All after this Supreme Court ruling that has huge implications for the midterms, the role of race in American voting, and the legacy of the civil rights movement. The 6 conservatives on the high court struck down the map of a Louisiana congressional district that is majority black, saying its outline snakes across 200 miles, and that's unconstitutional, they say, because the shape of the district was driven by race. Democrats say this decision weakens the landmark Voting Rights Act of 1965 and threatens equality of representation for black voters. Tom?
Kelly, we thank you for that. Now to those soaring gas prices hitting their highest point since the war with Iran started, and the new warning about how long the pain at the pump could last. Here's Dana Griffin.
Tonight, with oil now at a 4-year high, gas prices surging.
The gas prices are insane. They are too high.
At a nationwide average of $4.23 per gallon, gas prices now at their highest level this year and since the war with Iran began. Here in California, the state with the highest gas taxes, the average nearing $6 a gallon. Premium users shelling out 40 cents more. Global oil prices soaring with Iran blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Overnight, President Trump meeting with energy industry executives about minimizing the impact for American consumers, including increasing domestic production, a White House official tells NBC News.
It's pretty painful.
But experts warn the ripple effect of the strait's closure could last for weeks, even when it reopens.
Oil prices could, in theory, drop 10 or 15%, but it still may take 60 weeks for oil inventories to completely heal from this. Americans will be lucky to see a sub $3 price before the end of the year.
Right now, the most affordable states include Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana, with prices below $3.80 a gallon. The most expensive out west, California, Oregon, and Washington state. One hopeful sign long-term, the United Arab Emirates, a major oil exporter and U.S. ally, saying it's leaving OPEC and will pump more oil.
Ultimately, it's a good thing for getting the price of gas down.
But for dog walker Kim Zuckert, who drives across L.A. for appointments.
This is my only source of income, and I've been doing it for years, so it's not like there's anything else I can do.
All right, Dana joins us now live. And Dana, you're hearing Americans should not expect too much relief on gas prices this summer?
That's right, Tom. Even if the Strait of Hormuz were to reopen, experts tell us the best case scenario for summer gas prices would be in the mid $3 range, adding that within the next 24 hours, we could see those prices rise another nickel. Tom?
All right, Dana. The King and Queen of England spent the day here in New York City, and as people tried to get a glimpse, security kept a very close watch on the royals. Aaron McLaughlin joins us from Midtown Manhattan. Aaron, where are the monarchs right now?
Well, Tom, just moments ago, we watched as the King and Queen's convoy departed their final event right here in Midtown Manhattan. The King arrived here at 30 Rock just a couple of hours ago. There was a massive security presence throughout the day, including police, snipers, and Secret Service agents. The two visited the 9/11 memorial before the King spent time with children at an urban farm. The Queen attended a star-studded literary event at the New York Public Library, where she spoke exclusively with our Jenna Bush Hager. Take a listen.
You've been to a lot of places, to quite a few.
We have, but it's been wonderful, and everybody's been very kind and welcoming.
And right now, Tom, they are taking down the security barriers behind me as the monarchs are making their way back to Washington, D.C. Tom.
Okay, Aaron, we thank you for that. And you can see much more of Jenna's conversation with Queen Camilla tomorrow morning on Today. We're back in a moment with the former FBI Director James Comey appearing in court after being indicted for a second time. That's next. We're back now with the first court appearance for former FBI Director James Comey, indicted for a second time. Comey turning himself in today before attending a brief hearing in federal court where he did not speak or enter a plea. Comey was charged after he posted this photo of seashells formed to read 8647, which the DOJ argues is a threat to the life of President Trump. Comey has said he is innocent. And a big announcement from Fed Chair Jerome Powell today. Powell announcing he will remain on the Fed board as governor for now, even as he is replaced as chair next month. Powell said he is staying on because of the potential for the Justice Department to bring back its investigation into him over the Fed's building renovations. The Fed today kept interest rates unchanged. Now to Ohio, where a neighbor's doorbell camera captured this deadly home explosion in Steubenville. The massive blast sending smoke and flames into the air, causing the house to collapse. Fire officials say one person was inside of the home and died in that explosion. No word yet on what caused it. Also tonight, a hero's welcome for runner Sebastian Solway, who returned to Kenya after posting the fastest marathon time in history. His plane receiving this water cannon salute upon landing in Nairobi, with huge crowds gathering to congratulate him. At the London Marathon, Solway became the first person to run a marathon in under 2 hours. When we come back tonight here on Nightly News, an early birthday wish come true. The emotional reunion for a little boy and his father serving our country. That's next. Finally, there's good news tonight. An Army father making his son's birthday wish come true just in time. Take a look.
What is going on? What is going on? Wait.
For his 10th birthday, Noah Samayoa wanted one thing: his dad home safe. He's been deployed with the Army for more than 250 days. But finally, after months apart, this incredible moment. His dad, Urban, back home, and Noah running full speed straight into his arms.
I could just hear him from the top of his line, just yell, Dad, very loudly.
It was really emotional. I felt like my heart was going to come out of my chest.
For Noah, that first moment back with his dad meant everything.
That was the best thing that ever happened to me.
This was Urban's first deployment. I love it. He says service to his country is a sacrifice, but it's one he and his family are proud to make.
I wouldn't change it for anything.
Happy birthday to you.
The family back together again just in time for Noah's birthday.
Now I can do all these things with him, and it's been awesome having him back.
This emotional reunion, a birthday wish come true. And happy birthday to Noah, and a big thank you to the Samayoa family for their service and their sacrifice. That's Nightly News for this Wednesday. I'm Tom Llamas. Thanks so much for watching. Tonight and always, we're here for you. Good night. We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.